Let me tell you a dirty little marketing secret. One of the biggest brands in the world didn't win because people loved the product. They won because they made people think everyone else did. They hacked perception. And it worked so well, it created an entire category.
This is The Brief on Red Bull's radical marketing strategy. So, Red Bull became this massive brand. But here's the thing. It wasn't because everyone loved the product. I mean, it was expensive, it came in a tiny can, and the taste was, let's just say, an acquired one. They pulled it off by completely hacking our perception. It's really a masterclass in inventing a whole new battlefield when you know you just can't win the existing game. So let's get into what we're calling the Red Bull paradox. I want you to go back with me to the 1980s, long before it was this massive global brand. Red Bull was just this weird new drink. And honestly, on paper, it looked like it was designed to fail. I mean, just look at this comparison. The challenge they were up against was insane. You've got a new product that costs twice as much as a Coke. It comes in a smaller can, and the taste, people literally called it aggressive. On top of all that, nobody had ever heard of it, and you're going up against global giants. You gotta ask yourself, how in the world could this possibly work? Okay, so this brings us to their first big move. Faced with all those problems, what do? Well, most companies would have panicked, right? They try to lower the price or change the flavor, but Red Bull, they did something way, way smarter. They didn't try to win the game. They just invented a new one. Here's how they did it. They completely dodged the whole soda war. They said, look, this isn't about refreshment. This isn't another sweet tasting drink. Instead, they positioned it as a functional product. It was all about the promise, energy, alertness, performance. Suddenly, it wasn't competing with Coke anymore. It wasn't about quenching your thirst. It was about getting an edge. And boom, just like that, they created a whole new category out of thin air, the energy drink. And this, right here, is Marketing 101. If you can't win the game, you change the rules of the game. See, by creating their own category, Red Bull got to define what mattered. And that weird taste, that high price, suddenly they weren't weaknesses anymore. Actually, they became proof. It was like, well, it must be powerful if it tastes like this and costs this much. But okay, creating a category is one thing. Getting people to actually try this weird, expensive new drink, that's a whole other battle. And this is where we get to the really clever part. This is about hacking perception. So here's the big question they had to solve. How do you look popular when literally nobody knows who you are? Remember, they didn't have money for big TV ads or billboards. Their answer was pure psychological genius, and it cost them almost nothing. And this is it. This is the legendary empty can strategy. It's so simple, it's almost funny. Their teams would literally go into the trendiest clubs, gyms, and college campuses and just fill the trash cans with empty Red Bull cans. That's it. So you'd walk in and see all these cans overflowing from the bins and immediately think, whoa, everyone must be drinking this. What is this stuff? It's brilliant. You see the core idea here? It's perception before scale. Belief before awareness. They weren't trying to sell you anything directly. They were just trying to make you curious. They tapped into this really basic part of our psychology. We are drawn to things that we think other people already love. So they faked it till they made it, manufacturing the look of success, which in turn created real success. And check this out. They didn't go for the mainstream. Not at all. They went tribal. They zeroed in on these really specific high-energy subcultures. We're talking college kids cramming for exams, extreme athletes, people at underground raves. They found the people who were already looking for an edge and just gave them free cans. The idea was simple. Get the cool kids on board and the rest will follow. Culture always spreads from the fringes inward, right? All right, so the company is growing. Those early perception hacks were great for getting started, but you can't build a global empire on empty cans forever. To really last, Red Bull knew they had to evolve. They needed to stop just being part of the culture and start owning the story. And this slide really gets at the core of their next big move. Think about it. Most brands are renting attention. They sponsor a football league. They buy ads during a TV show. It's temporary. Red Bull decided, no, we're not going to rent. We're going to own. Their entire philosophy changed. It became, why pay to put our logo on someone else's race when we can just create our own race that's way cooler and more famous? And that's precisely what happened. By the 2000s, you couldn't really call Red Bull a beverage company anymore. They were a media empire, a content machine. They were making movies, publishing magazines, and pulling off these absolutely insane stunts, like, a man jumping from the edge of space. The drink itself kind of faded into the background. The product wasn't the can anymore. It was the entire high-octane, risk-taking lifestyle. Their marketing department wasn't a cost center. It was a profit-generating media company. Okay, so we've broken down this amazing story. What does it all mean for you? What are the actual rules you can steal from the Red Bull playbook for your own brand or project? So here you go, 5 key rules. Number 1, create your own category. Don't play by their rules. Make your own. 2, perception before scale. Make people think you're huge before you are. 3, own the stage. Don't just rent it. Build your own assets. 4, sell a lifestyle, not just a thing in a can. It's about the feeling. And finally, number 5, be super selective. Red Bull knows exactly what it is. Energy, adventure, pushing limits. If an idea doesn't fit that, they just don't do it. That brand discipline is key. And really, that brings us to the big question to leave you with. At the end of the day, Red Bull wasn't selling a sweetened, caffeinated beverage. They were selling a feeling, the feeling of having wings, of pushing your own limits. So the question I want you to think about is this: what feeling are you selling? Because that, right there, that's where the real magic is.